Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Murray, a Navy veteran, small business owner, and an elder abuse victim, suffered from numerous health issues, including dementia. His entire life savings was drained. He died alone in a care facility last year. While his bills went unpaid, Mr. Murray's perpetrator spent almost $800 on restaurants, $1,200 on online gambling, $900 on pornography, $1,200 on a vacation, and $2,000 on entertainment. Nearly $14,000 in past due medical bills were discovered, with debts to hospitals, pharmaceutical companies, and doctors. Yet Mr. Murray's perpetrator got unsupervised probation, was ordered to pay restitution, but had no jail time. Eileen Farmer had dementia. She was befriended by Deborah Drone and baby boy Neil, a Forest Grove couple who offered to take her in, care for her. Soon a credit card was opened in her name via the internet. $2,000 was charged. And Drown and Neil then canceled her last will and testament, revoked her power of attorney, went shopping for attorneys to create a new power of attorney. And if it wasn't for the quick action of Forest Grove police, her accounts would have been sucked dry like the other stories that I've heard serving on this task force, this work group. There are vast amounts of money that are still unaccounted for in her case, and the full extent of the crime may never be known. Deborah Drone and baby boy Neil both got unsupervised probation and were ordered to pay restitution. No jail time. You've heard these stories. I've heard these stories. And every time I do or talk about this bill, they're heartbreaking. Elder abuse suspects are clever in the selection of victims, often using the victim's disabilities to further conceal their crimes. And until now, today, elder abuse laws in Oregon are turned against the victim, leaving victims to suffer in silence. House Bill 4084B before you closes loopholes that hurt our seniors. It'll better equip law enforcement officials with tools they need. And my co-chair, the representative from New England and Junction City, should be very proud, thank you, should be very proud of the work of a diverse group of stakeholders that has developed this in a bipartisan fashion. So thank you to the work group appointees, Senators Przansky and Winters, Mary Yeager from the Long-Term Care Ombudsman, Jerry Cohen from AARP, John Wentworth, an assistant DA in Clackamas, Matt Smith from the Forest Grove Police Department, the Honorable Catherine Tennyson from Multnomah County Circuit Court, Fred Steele and Jeff Aiken from DHS, Grover Simmons from the Independent Adult Foster Care Homes, Lauren Rhodes from OHCA, Brady Scott, who came 3 times from Bandon, from Heritage Place Assisted Living, Gail Gustafson from our credit unions, Lark Wisham from the banks, and Jeff Bandon from Governor's Commission on Senior Services. You want vetting, colleagues? I've got vetting. This bill is a product of this work group's efforts. We divided into 4 subgroups quickly. Subgroup 1, following through on the recommendations from the department's Adult Safety and Protection team, meetings of which we were attending a year ago. We have been attending meetings constantly for a year. Subcommittee 2 on criminal background checks, 3 on investigations and data reporting, and 4 on evaluating Oregon's elder abuse definition. Each subcommittee was charged with researching and developing recommendations for the at-large group. The at-large meetings were 3-hour affairs. How did you spend your summer? 3-hour affairs on focused debate and discussion on the subcommittee recommendations. At the final meeting, we compiled the priority recommendations, most of which you see before you now in the bill. The bill was presented in draft form to the House Human Services Committee in November of 11 and January of 2012. Since the start of this session, the House Committee on Services, thanks in large part to my co-chair, the representative from Milwaukee, has held 3 hearings on this bill. 3 hearings, and 1 jointly with the House Judiciary Committee, and 1 with the joint Senate and House Judicial Committees. A lot of people have invested a lot of time. We've taken criticism over the past couple of weeks for not properly vetting. Really? We've got vetting. Oregon's seniors deserve this bill and all the protections, Mr. Speaker, that prosecutors, law enforcement, healthcare provider communities can possibly offer. Predators will continue to find insidious ways to prey on our elder population, so this is only a beginning. What are the tools in the bill? In this bill, you'll find it increases the time to prosecute crimes against Oregon seniors. This bill brings elder abuse in line, finally and appropriately, with child abuse statutes. It creates a resident safety review council that will report back to this body next session. And it implements a 24/7 elder abuse hotline. If elder abuse is reported, we need to be ready to give an answer, and that's why that's in there. And it also has increased training and education on a number of levels for adult protective services. If you will in some way indicate that you are reading or will read the stack of floor letters, I don't know that you've had a stack like this before, I will refrain from reading every single letter right now. Anyone? Thank you. Letters from AARP, Oregon District Attorneys, Oregon Healthcare Association, Northwest Credit Unions, Oregon Bankers, Oregon State Sheriffs, Long-Term Care Advisory Committee, Alzheimer's Association, SEIU, the Association of Hospitals and Health Systems, Detective Matt Smith, all supporting this bill and urging your aye vote. You'll also find 2 Legislative Council opinions. Please read those. Their opinions on the constitutionality, the federal and state protections that surround access to health and financial records that many folks rightly have been concerned about. The answers are on your desk, colleagues, and I thank everybody for their work on this. In 2010, there were almost 6,000 abuse cases in our state. If not now, when will we do something? I say let the word go out that Oregon will not tolerate defrauding, assaulting, raping, neglecting, or bilking our seniors. House Bill 4084B begins to protect those we care about. It is time for elder abuse protection in Oregon. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Bill Carrier, Representative Hoyle.
I want to say that it has been an extreme privilege to be asked to co-chair this particular work group with the representative from Oregon's Christmas Tree District. This is the kind of legislation that actually really makes a difference in the lives of our most vulnerable citizens. And it is a true bipartisan effort. We had many people that came together to say this is a problem, and permission to use a visual aid, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Hoyle asks for permission that the rules be suspended so that she can use a visual aid. Is there any objection? Hearing none, so ordered.
In the stack of letters that you have on the desk, one is a list of groups that are supporting this bill. These are not always groups that work together, but on this it mattered so much they came together and said, how can we help and make a difference? And the other piece is a letter from Detective Matt Smith from Forest Grove, and he has been working to get this law passed since 2010 because he doesn't have the tools he needs to protect seniors. And I'm just going to read one part. He said, laws like these are often named after crime victims, and it took dramatic lapses in our protection systems to inspire the meaningful legislation, things like Carley's Law. But I'm proud to say that House Bill 4084 is not named after a crime victim, and let us hope and pray that we will never have to name bills after senior citizens who've been victimized by crimes. Now, to be clear, this doesn't mean all seniors are vulnerable, or as Senator Winters says, the chronologically advantaged. Not every senior is vulnerable, but when seniors are vulnerable because of a medical condition, because they're taking advantage of, because they're being abused, they do deserve protections. These are the people that built the country that we live in, and I'm proud to say that we stepped forward to add some provisions to help protect seniors. I also want to specifically thank two people who had very, very serious concerns about privacy and what we were doing to have in terms of access to financial and health records. And that would be the representative from House District 33 and the representative from Josephine County. And both of these people who I am proud to call colleagues came up and said, how can we make this better so that we protect people's private information while still allowing the access that protects seniors? This is a very good bill where a lot of people have done a lot of work, and I would appreciate the aye vote. This is something that every single person in this room can go back and bring to their constituents and say, we really did something that matters.